Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome to our second series of lectures on torts. Today we're going to talk about torts and product liability. But first, we're going to do a tort review. So, as you can see, I'm broadcasting from the aquarium in the studios of WCLG. We have a pretty active aquarium, as you can see behind me. So if you get tired of looking at me and bored with what I'm talking about, you can watch the fish swim around. Anyway, we're going to talk about, as I said, we're going to continue with torts today, but I'm going to give you a very brief review on what we talked about last time for torts. Now remember, torts are the laws that help people take care of wrongs done to them or their property. Now, there are two kinds of torts: intentional torts and negligence. In the United States, the way we take care of damage to people and to property is by paying money. Money damages are what people get for injuries to themselves or their property. Remember, there are three kinds of damages possible in a tort action. One is compensatory damages, which compensate the person for their actual damages, like the cost of their car or the cost of their medical hospitalization, the cost of their lost wages. And there are special damages, which are compensation for non-monetary costs, like the big one here is pain and suffering. You sometimes can get money if you suffer a lot of pain. The third kind is punitive damages. You remember that in contracts, there's no such thing in California as punitive damages. But in torts, there can be punitive damages, and they are damages designed to punish the defendant for wrongs that they've committed. Now, you very seldom find getting punitive damages possible, so don't ever expect to get them, but sometimes you can. Now remember, there are two kinds of torts. One is intentional torts, which is where somebody intends to do harm or should have known they were going to do harm. For example, one of the intentional torts is assault, when you put somebody in fear of bodily harm. Another intentional tort is defamation. And you remember there are two kinds of defamation. The first is slander, and the second is libel. Now those two kinds of intentional torts are for hurting somebody's reputation. And remember again, in defamation, truth is an absolute defense. Now, if you remember, we talked about negligence as well. And remember the fundamental equation of negligence. Negligence is equal to a duty to the plaintiff, a breach of that duty, caused harm. Harm to plaintiff. Remember that. Now, remember also that causation has two components. One is but for, that is, but for something, then this accident would not have been caused. However, but for is too broad. For example, but for the fact that God created the earth, we wouldn't have had this accident. So what the courts look at is proximate cause. And if you remember, the test of proximate cause is foreseeability. Remember the case of poor Helen Palsgraf, when she sued the Long Island Railroad for having some scales fall on her for an explosion caused by fireworks dropped on the tracks. 3 or 4 tracks away. She did not recover because the court said that the injury to Mrs. Palsgraf from the explosion was not foreseeable by the railroad's actions. Okay, next time we're going to talk about strict liability, and then we're going to go off into the product liability, and then at the end of this series of lectures we're going to talk about environmental law, because it fits right into our tort liability. Okay, see you next time.